Hey, I'm Casey Okupi with Free Speech Northwest. Today we're going to talk about comedy and how it's getting castrated, basically, more or less. Would you agree?
Yeah, a little
It's
bit.
getting there.
Yeah.
Well, let's introduce ourselves before we get started. From my left to right, go ahead.
My name's Ray McMillan. I'm friends with Casey here. This is my token conservative friend.
Well, acquaintances.
Acquaintances, yeah.
Acquaintances.
I don't really like the guy, but he has access to CCTV, and I'm not famous enough to get on like local TV yet, so I'm going like block local TV.
I don't want us to put on errors or anything.
No.
Errors.
So.
All right, and go ahead.
I'm Jake Surratt, local comic out here in Salem.
Jake, all right. Now, I want to tell you what happened. I went to a comedy club in Salem, Oregon, one of many. And Jake...
You don't have any, but...
Jake was on stage. And before he got up there, actually, he was sitting with a group of your family and friends, right?
Yeah, yes, my fiance, one of my best friends, and her brother.
Okay, well, our progressive, like, new, modern, awesome comedians look at these people and they're like, this guy's definitely rode a bull before. This guy's a redneck, guaranteed. So they're like, let's mock the hell out of them. Let's pick on them the whole time. And so they were talking to your brother-in-law and saying that he was on, what is that?
Grindr.
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 Yeah, and he had a...
Grindr's like Tinder, but exclusively for men on men, and
Yeah.
you skip the whole relationships phase and go directly to the restroom of the nightclub. It's
There
a
you go.
fantastic app.
It's romantic.
I would invest in it if it has a stock ticker because it's on the cutting edge of a lot of things.
Right.
So yeah, basically they're saying he's got a super soft mouth and it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And so then you go up on stage, and why don't you let us know what happened then?
So the whole thing kind of started, I was like 16th or something up,
Oh, yeah.
and his phone went off. And we were at the front table, his phone went off, and they started making fun of him because they asked, hey, what's that about? And he's like, oh, I got a match on a dating website. And so, of course, they all made fun of him as being on Grindr.
Yeah.
He's on Grindr. So about for like 10 comics in a row, they were making fun of him on Grindr. And I had this joke that I told, years ago, and I was like, well, everyone else is making fun of him. And shoot, he's going to be my brother-in-law. I'll make fun of him too.
Yeah,
so-
it's like camaraderie.
Exactly. And I didn't want to feel, left out, and so I went up there and I told this joke, and they got really upset about it. I used the word fag, not in like a derogatory sense or anything. It was just part of the joke. The joke was actually making me out to be the gay one, which is funny, I think. But
Well, what was it?
so I did rodeo for like 10 years professionally.
Okay.
And I got my brother-in-law into it. And so the joke was, and I changed it name to name for whoever I'm talking to at the time. And I said, well, we went and spent this night up in Canada. And so, we booked a room up there. And long story short, he was about 30 strokes deep in my asshole. And, right before he busted a nut, he grabbed my chin and tried to kiss me. What a fag. And then that was the joke. And so, as soon as I said the word fag, music blasted on, and they escorted me off stage.
Yeah, they're like, that's hate speech.
Can I ask
Yeah.
a real quick question just to dumb things down for our audience? So the punchline of the jokes that all the local comics who tell the same shit every week.
Right.
And I'm going to back up and assume it wasn't because you were a quote-unquote redneck, it's because you're new. So there's this, do you go to this club a lot?
I think this is like the second or third time
Then
I've
you're
been
new.
there.
You don't go there every single
They
day.
had no idea who. They asked if
Okay.
I had been there before.
So the punchline to their joke was, ha ha, you're gay.
to my brother-in-law.
To the
yeah.
Grindr comment.
Correct,
Basically, so that would require an assumption that had your brother been texting a female,
Right.
or whatnot, I don't know what the qualifiers are, but super cis, straight, some girl named Becky that works at the Starbucks, okay?
Sure.
That would have been okay. Now, let's say your brother actually was gay.
Right.
Let's say that he was there and that you had announced the marriage, the brother-in-law, any of that. Let's say that
Right.
that was just your gay brother.
Right.
Then the joke would have been, ha ha, he's gay.
Right.
These people don't know if he's gay or not because
Right.
you've been there twice.
Right.
Okay. Now you go up and you tell a joke where the whole joke is it's to remove the act and the funniness of, okay, if you're having sex with another guy, that's fine. Just don't kiss him on the lips.
Right.
Okay. That is in no way homophobic. If anything, it's almost like taking that word.
Right.
Which, yeah, if there's a person that's not used to that and they get triggered by that word, okay, great. Well, would you be okay if I made a joke about gingers? and if it was funny.
Right. Yeah,
You're sitting there with the orange hair, you could probably kick my ass. But if I make a joke about gingers, and if you can find a way to guilt trip that, and like South Park has a whole episode on how gingers suck.
Oh,
Okay?
of course, the cult of Cartman. I have it at home.
Yeah, and do you know why we won't have a ginger walk? Because you guys have no soul and you're not worth saving.
That's
Right?
not
the
true.
Between
That's not true. All the freckles are the souls I've stolen.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
you know how ginger women get those souls?
I don't.
You don't want it. So I'm saying that we've already agreed as a society, and I'm kind of joking, and I'm kind of half not. Like it is socially not acceptable to use a derogatory word against gay guys. So that's why that joke would actually be better in a progressive city.
Right.
If you're in Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene or whatever, and there's
way
like
out in the
four
way out
guys
in the
with
boonies.
Klan hoods,
Yeah.
that's a different type of context. You're at an open mic, and the second thing I want to throw out there is an open mic is a gym. It's not the end all. It's not the finish line.
Exactly.
So if you go to the gym, you see some guys all roided out, and you're like, why are you here? Why are you a basketball player, football player, doing something? You want to see a fat lady at the gym sweating. Now, the comic mentality is make fun of the fat lady that's sweating.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, she's the one that's actually doing work.
Putting in the work.
Way harder for
ironic.
her to be up there
Exactly.
than it is for some roided out buff dude to be. Okay, so don't know your comedy history, but if
Right.
you're at an open mic working through material, that might not be polished.
Right.
Might not be your best stuff.
Well, yeah, and
You know?
that joke originated because I did rodeo for years, and a lot of rodeo guys, they're rednecks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's their kind of humor, and so that's where I actually heard that joke from a buddy who, years and years ago, and it was funny to our crowd, and so the crowd that I typically hang out with and just joke around with, just as friends, that's funny.
Now, do you think that someone just playing devil's advocate, let's say I have a complete blank slate, right? I just moved here from somewhere without politics, like Canada or whatever, and I don't know anything about the world, and I'm like, gee, I wonder if I hate gay people. And then I hear your joke.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's a reason to hate gay people. And then I go around with this weird reason to hate gay people. Do you think that maybe I was already predisposed to being that type of person, like a school shooter in the making, before I even hear that joke?
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Anything you're offended by is all subconscious. In my opinion. It's like you just said, it's already embedded in you, and you just needed something to trigger it.
So it's great that you said that, because what I was getting at is, hypothetically, I'm not going to mention any particular open mic or any particular city even, but open mics and a lot of entertainment that's open right now is drawing the lowest common denominator. And we've gotten into this is the Portland handshake. It's like you will get more credit for going up and saying, I don't like Trump's politics. Okay, that might be a true statement. Where's the punchline? And we've gotten into a cult mentality. So I think that a lot of the things that are not allowed, like you said, I think there's some homophobes in that crowd.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think that's where the grinder jokes came from. I think you legitimately probably don't hold a stance. You're probably not marching with pride, but at the same time, you're probably not like, if you had a kid and they turned out to be gay, you probably wouldn't lynch him.
Right, no.
So you're there in the middle. This isn't your battle, but they want it to be their battle. They want their rainbow flags to mean something.
Right.
So if you sort of joke about something like that to expose them, it's the same thing as, like, let's say that I hypothetically used to sell coke. Hypothetically. When I would hypothetically used to go to the open mics, I'd get real nervous if someone joked about drug dealers. I'd get real nervous if someone said, oh, you up all that on coke? I'd be like, probably not best to joke about that because I have 2 kilos in the trunk. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Hypothetically. And so with you, I think that you probably had, when those grinder jokes came out, those are people that are scared of gay people. I've never seen any of them at drag shows that I go to. I'm straight as an arrow, but I love gay entertainment. I go to drag shows, I go to 80s night, and I've never seen them there.
Right.
The only ones from that crowd that I've seen there are people that probably either thought your joke was not funny or just laughed at it, but didn't want your mic cut off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense for someone that's, know.
And the thing that irritated me about it was the fact that joke was never even part of my set. Because I had recently just got kicked out or asked to leave. They didn't kick me. This was a lot more you're done than the last time. At a show in Forest Grove I did, apparently very liberal city. And I made a similar joke and they politely asked me to leave. So, there's kids here and such. And I said, okay, I understand. But that joke wasn't even supposed to be in the set. The only reason, so I had written a completely clean set, a little raunchy, but it had no derogatory terms, no anything. And I had written this whole set that's, like you said, it's a gym, it's there to try out. And so that's why I went there that night. I said, I'm gonna try out this new set. And they started making fun of my brother-in-law And so I was like, well, I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to tell this joke. Why not? Everybody else is making fun of them.
Well, you're expecting someone that can dish it to be able to take it.
Exactly.
And you're trying to
you
build
don't have that
rapport
now.
with those guys too.
Exactly. And the part of the real kicker for me is like you just said, everything's getting political. And maybe I'm just thick-skinned. I don't know, but I understand that in this context, it's all jokes. I mean, they're jokes. They're not meant to be serious. But you go up there and there's jokes about hating Trump, killing cops, which to me is extremely offensive. I have a bunch of friends in the military. I have friends that are cops. You know, they mean a lot. They're heroes of this country.
Yeah.
You know, that's just something you don't joke about.
Well, I'm going to interject. If you would have refused to get off of stage, do you know who they would have called?
Well, exactly. I understand, but like, to me, it's just, that's offensive to me, talking about killing cops.
Yeah.
But it's in the context of a joke, and I'm not going to be like, hey, no, you can't say that, because it's comical.
Well, take it one step further. If you, what am I? Pretend that I'm this just total middle ground person. I'm watching the set. Okay. You make that gay joke, and then someone else goes up there and makes a joke about killing a cop. All right.
Right.
Now on the way home, I get the chance to, let's say, get drunk at a gay bar, get pulled over by a cop, right? And that happens. Because of your set and because of that other set, which one is a more realistic probability that I'm going to assume that kissing on the mouth is gay, ass stuff isn't, and that I'm going to then be violent towards someone at the gay bar, or that I'm going to be sitting there with my weapon in the glove box and a cop pulls me over?
Right.
Like the probability of a cop getting shot is just as likely as the probability of me hypothetically hearing that joke and doing something homophobic.
Right.
Now I'm also like you. I'm used to be politically left. I mean, I would call myself more liberal, more libertarian.
I'd go hard right with me. But
Yeah,
I mean, that's just how I grew up.
No one just cut. You didn't just cut my mic.
Right, of course.
Right, and so for instance, I don't like Trump, but I don't like Trump for reasons that are economical. The reasons that are. I don't like the way he's run certain businesses. I don't care if there's an audio tape of him making a sexist joke, because I think that in order to get to Capitol Hill, you have to kill like 90 babies on the way up. Like you have a pile of just murder and rape and these awful, failed casinos. So when people are like, oh, he has orange hair or he's dumb, I'm not seeing anti-political. I'm seeing material that's not good.
It's cliche.
It's cliche, and right now it's establishment to make fun of Trump, so you're not being anti-establishment by making fun of him. The trick is if you can make a crowd agree with Trump, like before with the show we were talking about how I have a joke about building a wall around California, and everyone in Oregon finds that funny as hell. I'm like, look, I just turned a room full of liberals into these hateful people saying we should bar this group of people from coming onto my land. Look how easy it is when it's your battle. No, I don't really hate people from California, but I hate them more than I hate anyone from Mexico. So the joke has more truth in my context. I've never gotten told not to say that joke. But it's weird how they will align with someone. Like if you took a quote by Hillary Clinton and threw it on Trump's face and put it on a meme.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it's been done. But
shoot it down.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is probably the laughter when, so-and-so comedian's like, man, I was talking to this retarded idiot about Trump. He's an idiot. He loves Trump and all this. And then they pat each other on the back, right? And, shake each other's hands and laugh at each other's jokes in camaraderie for hating Trump as hating conservatives. But it's not laughing at each other's hands and, at each other's jokes and patting each other on the back for it being funny. It's like just about hating. It's using extreme language towarnes Trump, basically.
Well, there's hatred and there's agreement. So I'm reminded of right-wing evangelicals from the early 90s. The ones that are like the Satanic Panic from the 80s. Like if you listen to this music, your kid's going to become a Satan worshiper. There was all sorts of cultisms there. I don't see any difference between the religious zealots of the early 90s and the hardcore leftists of today. You go by this doctrine. These are the words we use. These are appropriate things. And then they try to push the same shit like, oh, it's got a great positive message. The kids will like it. You're like, no, that's Christian rock. It kind of sucks. I'm going to go listen to Slayer. And they're like, no, if you listen to Slayer, you'll end up in a cult, and then you don't end up in a cult. I watch certain comedy, and I don't end up a Nazi. I laugh at certain jokes, and I just don't turn into a bigot. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm smelling a lot of the same crap cooking from and it's not left or right, it's authoritarianism. You have a bunch of people with no talent, they can't make anyone joke. You're gonna make someone laugh at that joke. It's hacky, it's not part of your set, it's off the cuff. But the thing is that I guarantee a lot of their anti-cop jokes, I'll laugh at a cop killing joke if it's a good joke.
Right.
If the premise is all police are evil and all they do is wake up and just shoot black guys and be like, well, time for another day of donuts and racism. Okay, cool. Well then, who are you gonna, like I said, who are you gonna call when you need someone robs your little studio down there for the $14 and 2 wine spritzers? You're gonna call a cop immediately, and you're going to get it answered because you're an outraged white liberal, which is the most catered to demographic of our society right now.
You know, you can't say anything anymore, and I like this kind of discussion because I'm, like I just said, I'm kind of more on the right wing, kind of conservative part, and you're on the other side. We can have a discussion. My sister is the same way. I don't know how we were raised together, but I mean she's completely opposite, and it's nice having this kind of.
Well, you can't sue your wife, take half her income. That's the difference.
I guess
your sister falls on the left, right?
Yeah, but no, it's nice being able to have this kind of conversation, and I know a lot of people, like you said, the demographic nowadays, that's what we cater to, and it's strange for me, especially in this area in Salem, you know, being my political views and such, because people my age, I'm 26, people my age don't have these views. I mean, I was raised out in the sticks, but in like a kind of a prep school, and so they try to push these agendas on you, but you know, as long as you stay, in my opinion, you stay true to yourself. And I had posted on Facebook that night, and I think Casey had commented on it. I said, I'm not going to apologize for just being me.
Never apologize.
Exactly. I think that's what your comment was don't ever apologize. And I don't plan on it. I don't, you know.
Well, if you apologize if you do something wrong.
If it's in your heart that you want to apologize about something, but you were telling a joke, so why are we pretending like you're being literal and they're acting like inside of you is a guy who hates gay people?
Right. You know why they're acting that? Because inside of them, the first thing they said when they said, is that a date? Is it Grinder? Right. Now I can throw out a bunch of not good, but other punchlines. Be like, oh, is that a girl? Okay, well, how many tons does she weigh? or when does Chris Hansen step out? You know, like I can imply all sorts of things about what dating app is to tear your brother down. In fact, I could do so in a way that didn't hurt anybody, but like pedophiles. Right. Like fuck pedophiles or F pedophiles. Sorry, we're on cable. Sorry for cable access. We offended any pedophiles out there. You know they're watching. They're all like on lockdown, so it's like they don't have real
public
cable.
access.
I'm kidding. Right. But yeah, you could have made the joke, and their go-to was that being gay would be funny. Right. Your go-to was that being gay would be funny. Yeah. Where we do agree with politically is I didn't vote for Trump. I voted against Hillary. Like I threw my vote to the crazy chick that believes in crystals down in Texas just because. Jill Stein, just so I can say I voted female, just really lose a lot of Facebook friends. But the reason is because I told my friend, he said, what Trump says about Mexicans is awful. I said, okay, so what Trump says about brown people is awful. What the bombs that Hillary drops on brown people are a little worse. And so in my mind, well, how could you elect a blankist, a misogynist, a rapist? Well, there's an assumption that if you are one of those things, action follows that. And I know there's racism out there. I know there's homophobia out there. Of course. But in Salem, Portland, Eugene, if I was to stand in the middle of the intersection and scream bigoted stuff, instant, you know what I mean? Instant.
Oh yeah, of course. It's super hippie out here.
Yeah, but if you were to go out there and be like, you know, democratic regimes have also raped, murdered, and killed. Right. There's no outrage. They don't care. Oh, that's just, you know. Right.
God works in mysterious ways.
God works in mysterious ways. Let's send an all-female trip to Mars, which is a side note, but
that sounds fun. I mean, how do you get on one of those?
Well, I think that if there's one thing that women are known for, especially if they don't know each other, it's getting along in confined spaces with extreme amounts of pressure. Yeah. Far distances from home for a long amount of time. I can think of no more perfect way. It's all this
perfect hell.
So there are actual hatreds out there. I don't know if hatreds is a word, but I think it's a smokescreen to be like, oh, I don't want to use the term SJW, but that's what it is. Right. I'm so woke, I'm so pro-black. You don't have any black friends. I'm so pro-gay, you won't go to 80s night. You know, I'm so pro. And then they're like, we can kill cops. I bet you probably know someone or know someone that knows someone there's a cop that died. Right. I guarantee you none of them have a gay friend that's been lynched from the back of a truck because we live in Salem, not Missouri or wherever.
Yeah, no.
All right, you know what, guys? Let's take a look at a video here, if we can do that, please.
I'm a little disappointed in the younger generation, honestly, because I'm 51 years old, and when I was like 18 to my 20s, I mean, we were idiots. We were getting high, doing mushrooms and shit, and then older people were like, you gotta get your shit together, and we were like, yeah, f*** you. And I was kind of excited to be in my 50s and see people in their 20s and be like, they're crazy. These kids are nuts, but they're not. They're fucking they're just boring. And telling them, you shouldn't say that. What are you, an old lady? What the are you doing? That's not appropriate. You're a child. I don't know, they testify in front of Congress, these kids? Like, what are you doing? You're young, you should be crazy. You should be unhinged. Not in a suit saying, I'm here to tell you. You're not interesting. Because you went to a high school where kids got shot? Why does that mean I have to listen to you? How does that make you interesting? You didn't get shot. You pushed some fat kid in the way. And then, now I gotta listen to you talking?
Every kid has a gay moment, okay? Every kid. But when it happens, you gotta nip it in the bud. You gotta stop it right then. Hey, stop! That's gay! I turned back around to check on my son again. A little boy was grinding on my son's ass. He was like this. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I knocked them both down.
So, let me see. So basically, those guys are getting a bunch of shit. And Kevin Hart's thing, that's from a decade ago,
Like
literally.
2008 or something. One of his. I
So-
actually just watched a special. That special.
That's
the other
why
day.
he's not doing the
I can tell you
Oscars.
one thing that's just this trend that I find that no one will address, and that is saying, "Oh, I'm pro other cultures. I'm pro minority." Picture the white girl with the dreadlocks and the Tribe Called Quest T-shirt. That's all Black Lives Matter. You're gonna find two white people in most, like a typical black house will have two white people up on the wall: Bill Clinton and a white version of Jesus Christ for some reason. You might see a black version here and there. And what I'm getting at is that you can say a lot of stereotypes, a lot of, like 80% of what would be considered a traditional African American communities are heavily religious. And there's no homophobia, but there's a term called down low. So like a down low brother is a dude that is gay but can't come out. Everyone knows he's gay, but he can't really say anything. And if you look at like In Living Color or a lot of black comedy, there isn't like this huge acceptance of screwing another dude.
Right.
And it's not like go lynch him or burn down Pride. No, it's just like I said, down low. You're supposed to keep that away.
It's a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing.
It is. So I think that asking a black comic, and I'm going to stereotype and generalize here, maybe Kevin Hart's totally different. Maybe he came from Westland, Oregon and grew up eating, unseasoned chicken and kicks. But if he didn't, if he went to a Baptist church or a Lutheran church at least once, that guy is part of his humor is dealing with his own, okay, my son might be gay, that freaks me out. Like,
Yeah.
anyone that's ever met a black person over 40 knows that they're not like the front lines of the Pride March. Like, so it says to me when people get mad, they're racist. That is racism. Those are women that have driven around the hood on their way to Popeyes their entire life. Their only black friend's name is Kevin, and they met him at tech school. And they have the option to go immerse themselves go to a Lutheran church, go talk to somebody that lives a little north of Salem. You know what I mean?
Well, it's his culture, and it's a decade ago, and so this is why he's not doing the Oscars or whatever. It's why he's got to apologize.
He apologized. The reason he's not doing the Oscars is because he apologized. If he said, "Screw you, you racist white, see you next Tuesdays," if he would have doubled down on that, called Sharpton,
Yeah.
like we could have Amy Schumer be the target of hate instead of this poor guy. He is a midget too. If there's one thing that is the only acceptable demographic. If my man ain't 6 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
Like midgets and gingers.
God
If
forbid
you were
you
a
ask-
short dude,
I am a short dude. I'm
you are a
5'5".
midget ginger.
Yeah.
Okay. That comedy club threw out the only minority without a rights group.
Right.
Double down. I mean, you are ginger and you're midget, so you not only have no soul, but you have half of no soul.
Right, exactly.
Which is less than no soul.
Right.
I don't know.
He's worth
that,
nothing in the afterlife.
Hey, it's all right.
Unless you could sell as like a leprechaun at like an Irish
Heck yeah.
theme park.
Can you drink?
I can drink.
All right. Well, I don't know that midgets are real because they're not in the Bible.
No, I know one, and every time
That's because everyone in that age was that size. We just all grew over the.
They're not. I don't know that
years.
they're
I thought we
real.
were only talking about people on the show.
People? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then let's just move on from midgets.
All right.
Yeah.
Not
You're
that-
gonna have the world's smallest protest outside.
they're not
of
going to
here.
go to heaven or hell. There's just nowhere for them.
I bet though, if we could find a way to piss off gay midgets, that would be the cutest protest in the entire world.
That'd be
awesome.
That would just be this
Minority
angry,
gay midgets.
angry sea of
It's
glitter.
got to be a
with, like,
minority
the-
gay midget.
See, I like your point about like where he comes from and such, and his age and such. Because
Yeah.
if you actually sit down and watch the Netflix special and stuff, where he goes to Philadelphia, where he's from and such.
Yeah.
They talk about his up and coming and where this is how he grew up. This is what he knows, and a big part of Kevin Hart's comedy, at least what's portrayed through all the stuff. I don't know what's edited and stuff, obviously, but it's real life for him.
Yeah.
That was the whole big thing, is why he got so big. It's all his true stories. It's all really his life. So you make a really good point. That's how he grew up. That's what he knows.
A point that you're making, I don't even know if you realize it, is he got famous doing these jokes that are his culture, his life, and all this other stuff. So you're not only saying, if you say Kevin Hart was a bigot, not even is a bigot,
right,
you're also saying every one of his fans is, because they paid his ticket prices
and we laughed at
to
those
see
jokes.
his show and laughed at those jokes.
I don't see a lot of Klan hoods in the audience of the Kevin Hart shows.
No.
What I do see is, to touch on the Louis C.K. thing, assuming that's your time.
Yeah, we got to talk
I got
about that
into a
too.
little bit of trouble with a publication. We had the world's smallest protest. It was super loud. But I wrote an article where, because when Louis C.K. came out, there's two camps. There's like, that chick should have expected it, or he should be thrown in a gulag. Okay, like there was no middle ground. Now, as far as what Louis C.K. did, if you don't know, Google it. Just Google Louis C.K. likes to blank in front of women and go from there. And I was advocating for like a third date culture to come back. Because there's this whole like, hey, at CCTV, I got 2 minutes, have you been tested? And then I go meet them in the parking lot, hook up, Grindr.
Right, there
taking
you go.
it full circle, right?
Right.
I think that if you go on 2 or 3 dates with someone, you tend to find out whether or not they like fapping in an open public space. You know what I mean? Like on that 3rd or 4th date, you kind of learn to find out, she doesn't shave, or he likes to whip his hoo-ha out and doodle it in front of blah, blah, blah. Cable access editing. So I think that that conversation came out, and I got crucified. You're victim blaming, or blah, blah, blah. You're kink shaming, and just from all directions. All I'm saying is people aren't perfect, and we have this weird crap where, like, 10 years ago, your Twitter can get you fired. Do you know who didn't have a Twitter 10 years ago? It was any actor from like the 80s, 90s, or before.
Yeah.
Like you can't find Joan Rivers had a Twitter. Could you imagine what? First of all, women are funny. There's one of them. Her name is Joan Rivers, and she's the funniest human being
Spectacular. She doesn't
ever.
apologize.
She has no fat in her jokes. Her jokes are 100% set up punchline, and everything she writes attacks She has Holocaust jokes. She has abortion jokes, and this is someone that got cancer, was female, fell Jewish, fell into every demographic that you could say is a marginalized group, and she's out there going like that.
Right. Well, at what point am I supposed to care about what offends you? Don't. I mean, in my opinion, what I say, how does that have any effect? I'm not physically harming you. Why is what I say?
What if it doesn't actually offend somebody? See, that's what we're assuming. We're assuming that someone actually got offended by that.
Right.
Like if you said the R word, like the R word that rhymes with E-tard, right? Okay. And I look over and there's a kid with
Actually, I did earlier.
Okay, but there's a kid with mental disabilities. I'm going to be like, oh, my bad, because one, that's harmful to him, her, the parents. But if I'm in a room full of Yale graduates and I drop the R word and someone complains, I'm like, oh, we have a member from the Special Olympics with us today. Like, who?
It's all for show.
All for show. Exactly.
I would
It's
never
all
say
for
that
show.
about that person. What I would say that about, and because this is a little bit of a
People
more
with mental
right-leaning
disabilities
show,
deserve to live. Gingers and midgets don't. That's where we're drawing the line here.
Hey, there we go.
I would, exactly. And liberals.
Yeah.
There's no such thing
And
as a
you're a
liberal.
libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do pay taxes now and then, but not anymore, because that government shutdown just means I am in state parks with a blunt and a gun and my boyfriend, and we don't kiss
enough.
either. We ain't into that gay shit. We just
it's
we
pretty-
high five.
It's pretty woman in real life.
Yeah,
Like, ain't no
exactly,
mouth kissing.
No,
Now,
I mean
before
nothing like grabbing a Trump hat from behind and just giving a big old high five, in the woods. It's
Well,
Well, that's what I loved about
Do
you.
that in front.
When you approached me outside that comedy club,
Yeah.
I think that was the first thing. And what made us leave, because my girlfriend got really upset because I got escorted off stage. And I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this. This is BS. I'm not doing this. Let's leave. And she's like, no, then they're going to think they got to you. And what got to me is when I don't know who it was, But somebody came up to me and it's like, you should never say that word. You should be so
be ashamed
sorry.
of yourself.
You should exactly. You should be
They
ashamed
went
of
up to
yourself.
him. They went up to him, yeah.
They cut through. We were at the front table. And they cut through this lady. Cut through the crowd.
That's a
Lady.
dirty
Lady.
That's an evil
A
word.
lady. So wait.
This
Just
woman.
back up. There were how many women having sex in your joke? Zero.
Zero.
Oh, okay.
Zero,
Just check it.
yeah.
Just check it. Yeah.
And so, I mean, she cut through the entire crowd, and I mean, it was pretty crowded in there, I think.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and she cut through about 4 or 5 tables to get to my table, and got in my face and told me, "You should be ashamed of yourself. Never ever say that
Ashamed.
word. You should be so sorry." And I was like, "Okay." So I sat through. I let a comic finish their set,
That's too much.
and we got up and left.
So you actually let a comic finish their set too. So you knew it would have been rude to walk out.
Absolutely.
So what you've just laid out is something I think is weird. Is in your mind that would have been offensive to
wouldn't
walk
say-
out in the middle of someone's set. Just a
would have
general.
been rude.
Rude.
Yes.
Okay. So the act of getting offended is something that they would have embraced. But if you would have said some story about how the reason, blah blah blah, maybe you come up with some. Oh, my dad died because someone yanked his mic. You know what I mean? Some sort of personal
Right.
trauma, or this is, blah. Or if you would have said, "I'm gay."
Right.
If you would have looked her in the eyes and just said, "I'm gay," do you know what like her programming?
Oh, it would have went haywire.
And then required a system update. And I probably know who you're talking about. That person's not funny. No one, Bill Burr, Kevin, or Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart, they don't know we're having this talk right now because
Right.
we're hacks and we're local. So it's like, go after someone successful. I don't get knocking someone down.
Who's trying to get that come up?
And you'll learn. Let's say you would have just gotten no laughter.
Right. Who cares?
You don't tell that joke again, though. Like
Right, who cares?
You'll
It's-
throw a joke away if it
They
doesn't
didn't
hit.
give him the chance.
No,
they played the
it
music
was
instantly.
fag music, and then I didn't know it. I thought that
Like the Smiths?
yeah, pretty
No,
much.
sorry.
Yeah. And so no, and
love
so
the Smiths.
and I didn't know what was going on because I mean they introduced me. I went up there. The DJ played some music. I got up there, started my set. I said fag, and the music cut on, and I thought, okay, well, there's some mistake. I started dancing. I know. I did. I had no idea. I was getting down, and then she come up and just grabbed the mic out of my hand and escorted me
They're
out.
like,
There's one thing I know
shame
about
on you.
bigots is they love to dance.
Right. Hey.
We are over time. I think the takeaway is never say sorry. I mean, and that's especially for celebrities because you're saying like we're just like local people. Celebrities need to stop.
Joan Rivers, Bill Burr, Bill Hicks,
you said-
Robin Williams had some stuff that was Eddie Murphy. You've never heard them
Yeah.
apologize.
Right. Now you said it best before the show. You said apologizing is blood in the water.
It is. It
Exactly.
is blood in the
So-
water. It's saying that and
Saying they own you.
just
Exactly.
if I'm going to
We-
leave with
we won.
anything, right now that it's never been popular to be status quo in comedy. It's cringy and it's kind of like Christian rock or something, dumbed down for kids with this weird message. There's no comedy for the most part in Salem right now. It is a cult. And anybody that's famous or making something for themselves, if you move to LA, Tacoma, New York, record an album, you will not be allowed at that theater. If you go in and say, if I were to go in and say I'm suffering from alcoholism, depression, I'm not funny at all, and I identify as this brand new made up gender, they would give me a headlining spot. Because it's not about being funny. It's about scoring points, and the thing is these points are not able to be cashed in anywhere. The gay community hates you, the black community hates you, you're cringy, you're a bunch of granola eating white bitches with dreadlocks, and everyone knows that, and you don't need those glasses.
It loses the art. It's not art. It's
They did this. It's
recycled.
Macklemore. It's frickin' Macklemore and watered down Disney music for grown adults that were never told they're not good. And by the time you find out you're not good at what you do, you'll be too old to marry a man to pay for you. I'm just being honest here.
You won't be able to have children.
I know. And the cool part is just delete your Facebook so they can't dislike this video. That's what I did last month.
Well, that's it. I love you. Thank you for joining us on Free
Hey,
Speech
what's your
Northwest.
grinder, real quick?
Yeah.
I want to get on there. Where's my phone?
I can't say that on cable TV. My girlfriend
I'm
really
a
whoop up
power
on me.
bottom.
Way
though.
off.
Next is more of a power side.
me
Coming
know.
from the sort of from up back
Oh,
and to
it
the
is
left.
live, by the way.
They call
so there we go.
me the Kennedy in prison showers because it's back and to the left.
I think
back
We're
and to
done?
the left.
All right.
no, I think